No.
I can hear you.
Yeah, it sounds like all of us can be heard in the game, just not you. I think.
Yeah, hold on. I'm just talking to
I don't
double
hear
check this
myself.
because I also have it pulled up. Just heard myself. Great.
Can I be heard on the chat now?
Oh, I just heard you repeat. Yeah, I think you might be audible.
All right, Knight, can you hear me? Give me something here.
They sound good.
Okay, Knight says he can hear me. We're all good. I'm just going to hear myself in a little bit of an echo chamber.
You're coming in echo for me too.
Me
Yeah,
too.
it'll be for all of you in the stream. which is awesome. Okay, so anyway, let's talk a little bit about what we're doing. This is Dark Web Wrestling. It is an RPG, so you guys aren't actually going to be stepping in the ring and wrestling each other today. I'm your host and creative, Frosty here. We are going to be just like a regular wrestling promotion. We're playing a role-playing tabletop game where Dylan, Curtis, and Jared, our player characters here, will be wrestling each other, telling a story together, just like pro wrestlers. The only difference is instead of actually doing these moves, they're going to be rolling dice. And we're going to be telling a story along the way. There's one other character here that we're not talking about a whole lot, but that's the promotion itself, Dark Web Wrestling. We're running a local to global campaign here where we are the lowest of low independent promotions in your backyard, and our goal is to eventually take on the behemoths like the WWEs and the AEWs. But the only way we can do that is by putting on the best shows possible. Now, those of you that have been following my channel for a while, following Apex Athletic Collective, know that one of our dreams is to launch our own wrestling promotion, in IRL, as the kids say. And so this is going to give us a little bit of flavor of what that promotion could look like. I talked to the guys a little bit. The way I described Dark Web Wrestling, at least my vision of it, is that it's a mix of kind of three things that get me going in the morning. Lucha Underground, the greatest wrestling promotion of all time. If you've watched it, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. Second is the movie Bloodsport. Again, something that's kind of gritty, dark, violent, and also a little bit cheesy. And then third, obviously, is pro wrestling in general. So we're going to put these three things together, tell a really great story. I hope these guys are going to help me along the way. But with that, we're going to get into kind of the first scene of Dark Web Wrestling here in the chat. So here in the show. So I'm going to actually open this up. The TV show for you all is just turned on. And what you see is words flash across the screen against a black background. And then we go to cut to a boardroom, just like the one you all see here. And the camera filter feels kind of dirty, cinematic, found footage-ish. It's a little shaky. And there's a giant screen in the front of the room. The door opens, and in walks our first character. His name will be familiar to everyone. His name is Frosty. And here he is. So Frosty is an older millennial, dressed in a hoodie. He's wearing jeans. His clothes, though they look casual, are clearly designer and expensive. He's trying to look poor. He looks at the screen. He says, hey guys, thanks for coming on such short notice. And then the doors open up, and another man walks through. And he says, you can't see him. He's kind of bathed in shadows. And he says, what's this all about? And Frosty says, I wanted to provide you all, as two other guys fall in behind him, and the board, as we see all of these, picture like a Zoom screen with all the avatars popping up, no faces. And he says, I want to provide you all with an update. And so he then looks at the screen as the other three men take their seats. And he says, as you all know, our company, Apex Athletic Collective, has been in negotiations with every major sports league in the world over the last year to acquire a sports franchise. Unfortunately, those negotiations have fallen apart. And then one of the voices in the shadows, again, we still can't see who they are, says, I told you guys they would. Frosty looks at that person, gives kind of a ferocious, predatory smile, and says, turns out you were right, Space Leaf. None of these leagues were willing to agree on our demands for sports improvements. And then another speaks up. I can't believe they turned down the money we were offering. Frosty looks at that person and says, apparently, no amount of money would be worth the so-called risk that came along with our suggested rule changes. Across the screen flickers a bunch of quick images and highlights from sports being played. And each scene, however, the athletes, you can tell, are much more violent. There's a lot of blood, and you can sometimes hear bones snapping and screams. One of the men in the shadows leans forward so their face can be seen in the light above the table. He's young, he's blonde, he's kind of handsome, and he'd be quite the looker except for the crazy look in his blue eyes. If looks could kill, you would be dead. Spacely says, so now what? Now? Frosty asks. Now, Spacely, we give our board what it wants. If no sports league will have us, we'll make our own. We'll make a fighting league. Spacely says, oh, I like that. An underground fighting league, brutality, gambling, and go around every corner. Sign me up. The avatars on the screen start to murmur in excitement on the Zoom screen. Finally, another man leans forward so that we can see his face. And he says, I'm sure if we put the correct technologies together to televise to the right people and avoid the authorities, which will save us on expenses with permits, this could work out. This seems like a worthwhile venture. Count me in. It just needs a good name. Frosty smiles and says, oh, I got that covered, muffins. Turns to the screen and our logo appears. Welcome, my friends, to Dark Web Wrestling. Now, shall we put it to a board vote? Green check marks cover the Zoom screen as we fade out. All right, let's go to the ring here. So the camera cuts back into the ring. We hear two announcers start to talk. There's music. The arena it's not your typical pro wrestling arena. It's like a bar. Like kind of an underground kind of dive bar looking place. And at first, when the camera lights up and zooms around the bar, it looks kind of like an old security camera with that green lighting. You guys know what I mean? But it fades to regular colors before long. And like I said, there's loud music coming from a band over in the corner. And in the center of the bar room is a wrestling ring, like the one on the stage now. Around the ring is a guardrail protecting the obviously rich onlookers who are sitting in small groups at tables, and the voice of our announcer comes on. Welcome one and all to Dark Web Wrestling, coming to you live from an undisclosed location. And boy, do we have a show for you tonight. Be ready, be prepared for violence unlike anything you've ever seen. Another voice pipes in, a female, and she goes, that's right, Jamie. The Maniacs have paid tens of thousands of dollars for their seat to witness and wager on the history that's about to be made in our squared circle. I can't wait to see what's in store for our viewers and, more importantly, our fighters. Absolutely, Claire, Jamie says. It's time to kick off our show. So without further ado, we'll take you to the ring to hear from our prestigious leader. And with that, this music hits. And it's kind of country western is kind of the best way to put it. Sounds like something out of like a 1980s, I don't know, like movie about the backwoods. The stage we can see is just a simple curtain with 3 screens around it, and all of them have like pictures of horses flying by and ranchers and a guy, I don't know, like throwing a rope, all those things that cowboys do. Before long, it flashes the name Randy Whitman. And Randy Whitman appears. Now, Randy is this kind of older guy, right? And he's wearing a cowboy hat. He's wearing jeans and boots. Clearly not a wrestler, or at least wrestling right now. And he kind of he kind of pauses, looks around the crowd, and then just kind of works his way to the ring, nonchalant, not in a hurry, not pandering to anybody, kind of serious. He gets in the ring, and he's handed the microphone by the ring announcer. He looks straight at the hard cam and he goes, "My name is Randy Whitman, and the governing board here has seen fit to name me commissioner of this here fighting league. Now let me tell you something. In all the years I've been working in wrestling, I ain't never seen something like Dark Web Wrestling. I got a hell of a show lined up for you folks to spend your substantial fortune with your bookies, because I know if you're watching this in this here establishment or through our live feed, you got money to burn. So let us not match for it. Now, you may not know this, but most leagues have a top prize for everyone to be fighting each other over, and we got one of them too. We'll talk about that next show. But we also have a second top prize. And this prize is not just for an individual that does the best fighting, but for the team that does the best fighting this year. We call it the Ultimate Faction Cup. This year, 4 teams will be fighting to be the first Cup champions. But to do that, they got to build a team of the most badass fighters on planet Earth. And tonight, we're going to help them do that by putting on a couple of matches with some of the top prospects in our draft pool. So I'm going to quit yapping and let them get to slapping. And so with that, he drops the microphone, his music hits, and he heads back to the ring. Or back to the back, I'm sorry. So with Randy leaving, we're going to go ahead and go to our first match of the night. Music hits. The Goon, your music hits. Why don't you give us a little bit of a taste of what your entrance is like?
Yeah, so lights go down, hard rock music hits, like an early hard guitar starts. As the chorus comes in through the curtains, you see a muscular figure, not very tall, but well built, come through the curtains, decked from head to toe in hockey gear. We're talking, he's got hockey pants, the shin guards, gloves, stick, helmet, and atop his sweater is the Chicago Blackhawks as he walks towards the ring. He eyes up and down various fans that are there, not really saying anything, just dead set on the ring. He gets about halfway up the stairs to the ring, takes his stick and threatens to hit one of the fans with it, kind of chuckles as he flinches and then gets in the ring, goes to the hard cam, 2 fists in the air, and then he goes to a far post and begins to take off the equipment that he doesn't need. Doesn't need the gloves, doesn't need the helmet, doesn't need the sweater, and just stares down the aisle waiting for his opponent to come through that curtain.
Awesome. So he's appeared, and before long, this like electronica music hits, and we see green and orange everywhere, lightning bolts flashing, and we see the name Jason Silver appear on the screen as a young man appears through the curtains. He's young, athletic. He's got his face painted, kind of Ultimate Warrior style energy. But in kind of a thin, athletic body. He actually comes out, runs all the way around the ring before sliding into it, going to the far corner, jumping up, and just throwing his hands up at the crowd. And so with that, he turns around, he kind of nods at you, a little show of respect. And then, the match is underway. So Dylan, the Goon, is actually going to start with control of this match. So tell us a little bit about what happens here.
Okay. Bell rings. The Goon immediately walks to the center and just puffs out his chest, tries to look big. And then he gets low, bends the knees, puts one hand up, and presses for a test of strength, staring Jason Silver down.
So Jason tentatively, he's not a strength guy, he tentatively puts his hand up, locks up with you for the test of strength.
Okay. Grabbing 2 hands, Goon smiles, kind of pretends to give, and then pulls one hand away and just gives him a hard knee to the gut.
Man, Jason doubles over right away. Can't believe he fell for this, honestly, but he's down. He's not on his knees. He's bent over. He's holding on to his gut, selling it for all he's got.
Awesome. Goon grabs him by the head, grabs one onto his trunk, and turns around and immediately launches him into the turnbuckle, trying to slide between that second and third rope.
Okay. Go ahead and roll a body for me.
Okay. That is an 11, 6-4 plus 1.
All right. So because that's an 11, you nailed the spot perfectly. You and Jason have really good timing on this. The crowd pops. They love what you're doing. You're going to maintain control and gain a momentum here.
Okay.
And so for those of you that are watching, momentum is going to allow Dylan to get up to some shenanigans if he wants or cover up for bad rolls. In this game, I booked finishes for this, which I will tell the wrestlers, but they can do things to change it because at the end of the day, they're trying to figure out their career, right? So they don't always have to agree with me. And my job is to make it look like they did. So we're going to go ahead, Dylan. You have control here.
Okay. As his shoulder's in the ropes, the goon comes behind him, grabs the back, pulls him off, keeping him bent between the legs, and lifts him for a power bomb.
All right, go ahead and roll another body here.
Okay. That is a 6 plus 1.
Okay. So you said a 7, right?
It was
Oh,
a 13.
six,
It's
6,
6 plus 1.
13. Yeah. So again,
You're cutting in
bam,
and out.
man, you guys are hot. Crowd loves it. The match has gotten us off to a hot start. Go ahead and gain another momentum and maintain control.
Okay. I take a moment to pander to the crowd. I lift up my fists, giving my show of strength. I will. Let's see. What does he want to do? With him on the ground, I think Goon will. He's actually going to pick him up and set him up for an Irish whip.
Yeah. Great. And he's just going to go ahead and get picked up. He's going to allow you to pick him up. Obviously, he's going to sell that power bomb still goes straight into the ropes from the Irish whip.
Okay. Goon bounces off the opposite rope that he throws Jason into and goes for a running clothesline.
All right, go ahead and roll another body for me.
Okay. One dice fell off. That is a 7.
Okay. So that works. You keep their attention. Now you got kind of 2 arms here story with you can maintain control or you can cede control and gain a momentum.
I'm going to cede control and gain a momentum.
Okay, great. So Jason's taking this power bomb, but he's gonna do the typical face. He's gonna hit it. He's gonna no sell it and jump up and scream at the crowd to show his energy. From there, he's actually grab you from behind and spin you around as you're facing him away, so that now you're facing him.
Okay. Goon turns around surprised because he thought he was down, and just like faces him.
Yeah. Jason's just going to give him a quick kick to the gut.
He takes it and he sells bending down like it was a hard kick.
Yeah. Jason grabs his arm, kind of leans against him a bit, and then whips him into the ropes. And as the goon is heading towards the rope, Jason the opposite rope, and come through with a flying clothesline, which connects well. Both guys go down. Jason hits his knees, then he pulls right back up, yells at the crowd again, kind of flexes a little bit. The goon comes at him, and he hits the goon with a fist, knocking him down. And then Jason momentum. He goes up to the top, pointing to the crowd, feeling it. He says it's time for him to hit his finisher. He dives the rope, does a flip on the top rope, a standing moonsault. The goon sees it coming though and gets out of the way. The goon has control.
I missed that last part. He jumps off the rope and then the goon sees. Sorry.
Yeah. So he goes for the standing moonsault. The goon gets out of the way.
Okay. Yeah. Goon sidesteps and then hurriedly rushes up behind, grabs him by the waist and picks him back for a German suplex.
Okay. Go ahead and roll bottom.
Okay. That is a 5. I would like to spend momentum to bump that.
Great. So the move hits. Great. You can see control and momentum.
I'm gonna keep control, and I think just from the German suplex, I'm going to just pure strength it, keep the hold, roll him up, lift him up, and do it again. And go for a second one back to back.
Roll a heat. You're gonna need a lot of help.
Roll a heat.
Jason.
Can you repeat that? Sorry, I'm cutting in and out. I don't know if it's my internet or what.
I think it's mine. Roll a heat, Jason.
Heat. I got a 9.
Okay, perfect. So once again, move hits. You guys execute it well. Control the match and gain a momentum or seed it.
Okay. I'll let go from here. Let him feel the pain in his back after the double German. Do one last candor to the crowd at the hard cam, and then I flip him onto his stomach. I grab his leg, wrap mine around, and then put a crossface on him. And I will attempt to make him tap with my finisher, the penalty box.
Go ahead and roll.
That is a 5. Can I use a momentum to bump that?
Yeah.
Then I would like to use 2 momentum to bump it to a great success.
All right, great. So you get your clean. He struggles, but eventually taps. And the crowd starts booing, going crazy. They can't believe the heel won this match. Now you can choose whether you or Jason gain an audience.
Oh, I'm going to choose me.
Yeah, that's the right move. So for those of you watching, the game means audience is how popular you are. So let's get 1 to 5. All wrestlers start at 1, and they're trying to work 5. The 5s are the people that are more likely to get belts, that the crowd's going to love, all those good things. So you want audience, ultimately good for you. So that's good for the Goon. So Goon, you win the match. You roll Jason's body out of there. He's holding his neck and his nose. Probably broke his nose. It's a little bloody. And you have the opportunity to snatch the microphone and tell the crowd how you.
Okay. I grab the microphone. I grab my hockey stick, and I point to all the fans who are booing. And I go, "You boo now, and that's fine. You haven't seen anything yet. You think any of these guys deserve your adulations? Bullshit. There's only room for one in this company. One guy who puts them all down every time. That's the Goon. I'm just here waiting for my next contender. I'll put him down, just like I do everyone else. And he drops the mic and walks out.
Nice. So the announcer, Jamie, really kind of puts that over for you. Go ahead and roll an audience and go up a tier.
Okay. 6, 1 is 7, plus my audience of 2 is a 9.
All right, so that puts you at a 10. So you get to pick 2 things because your promo went so well. The crowd hated it, but in a good way. That's how wrestling works. All right, so you pick 2 of the things. I'll give you a list. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, you can have creative me book you in a match. You can add a stipulation to a match. You could have someone come out and respond to your promo, or you can gain a heat with Jason.
Okay, and I get 2 of those.
You get
I'd like to gain a heat with Jason.
okay.
And then I think the other one I want is just, excuse me, I think I'll just have you book me in a match. Does the match happen like in this episode, or is it in a future episode?
It can happen in a future episode.
Okay. Yeah, we'll just do book a match.
All right. Message me the match later. Who you want to take on? You tell me the specific match.
Cool.
All right, cool. So the announcers, wow, if you're one of those leaders, says Jamie, trying to decide who you're going to draft for your team, I got to tell you, Jason didn't look so great, and the Goon looked real good. So keep that in mind if you own one of those teams, because you're going to have a pick coming up. As our commissioner said at the beginning of this, there's a draft going on after this episode. You want to be a high draft pick, that racehorse that everyone's putting their money on. And the Goon, like it or not, like his attitude or not, really showed why he deserves to be one of the top 4 picks in this year's draft. So with that, the music cuts, the music starts. We hear this kind of dark, heavy music, kind of spooky, scary. And on the screen flashes in black and white, only letters L. So Elton comes to the ring. He comes out and he just kind of stops outside the curtain, stares everyone down, and doesn't really acknowledge the crowd, just kind of looks at them and makes his way to the ring, kind of as if no one else is in the arena with him. He gets to the center of the ring. He looks dead at the hard cam and just stares it down and points one time at it, calmly turning around, waiting for his opponent. So as his music out, there's this, and the crowd kind of waits with bated to see who's coming out to face this menace, El Dragon. And then all of a sudden, this like heavy punk music just hits, super hard, and it's loud, it's energetic, it's generic. because my promotion has no money. And all of a sudden the name Frankie Valiant or Frankie Riot just starts pulsing on all three of those screens. And before long, this guy comes out and he's wearing, think of like a 90s grunge kind of guy. Wearing like jacket. He's got a t-shirt on that just says Frankie effing Riot. And he's got kind of long brown hair. He's carrying a kendo stick, which is all sign. And the crowd just goes nuts. Clearly, he's someone the whole crowd recognizes. He enters the ring to adulation, and he's going to take on El Dragon. So the match starts, and I got to tell you, this is a heavy-hitting, fast match. And Frankie's trying to get in his offense. El Dragon seems to be countering everything Frankie does. And we hear the announcers talking, and Claire says, Frankie Valiant grew up here, and this, she pauses and says, undisclosed location. And, he's clearly a hometown hero. Everyone thinks that this is his chance to step up to the big leagues. He's finally going to show everyone what he's worth. But to do that, he's got to take the first step tonight, prove he's a number one pick by beating El Dragon, who comes to us from Mexico, from Guadalajara, Mexico. And El Dragon is one of those luchadors that will do anything it takes to win. And so we see El Dragon pulling several high-flying acrobatic moves out. Frankie is more of a brawler. They go back and forth kind of 50-50. But before long, El Dragon starts to pull some heel tactics. So he distracts the ref by pointing to someone in the crowd. And then when the referee goes to kind of see what's going on, El Dragon gives a low blow to Frankie and pins him. 1, 2, but Frankie's able to roll out, kick out. And El Dragon can't believe it. He looks at the crowd, and the crowd's just cheering. They're clearly behind Frankie Valiant, one of the most popular wrestlers on the promotion. Frankie, though, has had enough. Doesn't like low blows. Goes out, grabs his kendo stick, and decides he's going to hit El Dragon with it. So he raises it up. And El Dragon, kind of doing the heel thing where he's begging him not to hit him. He's like, "Don't hit me," whatever. Has his hands up, and then Frankie decides to, he gets frustrated. He throws the kendo stick down. Kind of turns around and hits the turnbuckle, angry at himself. He's like, how could I stoop that low? You can tell by his face that he's just disappointed in himself. And El Dragon takes that out to roll Frankie up and do a quick roll up. 1, 2, 3, and El Dragon wins the match. And Frankie cannot believe it as El Dragon just kind of runs out of the ring and goes to the back. Meanwhile, Claire and Jamie on the side, our two announcers say, Frankie unfortunately let himself down here. You can see the disappointment on his face. He wanted to win that match. The crowd wanted to win that match, but instead he let the head games of El Dragon take over this match, and ultimately it cost him a cheap loss. It's hard to tell how far, if at all, his draft stock will plummet. Only time will tell. But you got to be disappointed for the hometown hero, Frankie Riot, and hopefully he'll bounce back from this. And so Frankie kind of looks at the crowd. You can actually see him go. There's an older woman in the crowd in the front row. Looks well underdressed compared to kind of everybody else in the crowd. You have all these rich elites eating and kind of dispassionately, but she's sitting there and she's crying. She's in tears. And Frankie goes over and hugs her over the guardrail. And Claire says, nice moment between, mother and son. She sacrificed everything for Frankie to pursue his dream. And for him to lose on his debut has to be a tough pill for both of them. But we know Frankie will bounce back. We've seen him do it time and time again. And with that, Frankie also leaves to go to the back. Meanwhile, we have a scene coming up. So the camera flashes after to back to the boardroom. We see our founders in there, fourth founder named Roman. And Frosty says, "All right, boys, now's our chance. We're going to pick." And he pulls out a hat with paper in it and says, "We're going to pick who drafts first next week. This is really important for all of us, so I don't want to see any cheating." And he looks at Spacely. Spacely says, "Why are you looking at me? Muffins always cheats." And Muffins just kind of shakes his head in disbelief. And Frosty says, "Muffins, I'm going to let you pick first. It's only fair." Muffins picks a piece of paper out. He's like, "Don't look at it yet." And he says, "Ronan, you're next." Ronan grabs a piece of paper as well. "Don't look at it yet." That's Frosty. It's basically, "I'm going next one." And Frosty grabs his. Look at their papers simultaneously. Count to 1, 2, 3. Of course, to his at 2. And the camera fades out. The draft pick order has been determined. But we'll have to wait till next week to see who gets drafted away. But in the meantime, we cut back to the ring where our announcer, Jamie, says, "It's time. Our main, something we've all been looking forward to ever since we heard this was coming. We're going to get Miqua Valiente versus Pure Garbage. Two of the best fighters in this area are going to head on. They're going to go on one-on-one. Thank you to the commissioner for booking this match. Let's see what goes down. Pure Garbage, give us your entrance."
Let's go out. Spotlight onto a trash can. Douchebag Rock plays on the radio. Think Kid Rock, but more generic. As soon as the beat hits, Pure Garbage steps out, kicks over the trash can, grabs the pieces of trash, stares down each individual audience member he sees along the way, and throws a piece of it right in their face. Flips a few of them off, rips up some signs, just eats up the heat he can get, and makes his way into the ring.
Nice. Miqua, you're up. Give us your entrance.
Miqua bounds on down the ramp to a very, very sprintly reggaeton. Very much in the style of a young Mysterio. Like he's shaking hands, he's high-fiving, flying, retiring. We'll actually hand out acorns along the way. Because for those who don't know, Miqua means squirrel. And he will then rush up to the ring, hop on a post, and just like drink in the crowd, adulation and cheers, and then stare down Pure Garbage and move to the Belgian ring.
Awesome. Well, Miqua, you're the face. So I'm going to get control of the match.
Alrighty then. We're going to start at fast and heavy with a flurry of chops.
All right. I guess I'll just make a face at each individual chop, but not really look like I'm two-phased. Just kind of accept them.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Great.
Then we'll go for a crane kick followed by a mule kick.
Okay. I guess I'll eat the first kick, bend over, and then the other kick, I guess, will hit me in the face and I'll fall back.
All right. Once you're down, we're going for an elbow drop right onto the back.
Great. Go ahead and roll a body for me on the elbow drop.
Got an 8.
All right, great. So that move works, keeps people's attention. You drop your elbow, he eats it. Go ahead and choose whether you want to keep control of the match or you want to gain momentum and give it to him.
I'll see control and take momentum.
Okay. When he drops the elbow, I definitely take it, but then I grab his arm and I kind of go for like almost sort of like a modified anaconda vice, but like where I'm from the bottom, he's on top type of deal.
Right. What's your Miko? How do you respond to him?
Hold on, having technical difficulties at the moment. There we go. Actually, because the pyramid is much bigger, he just kind of eats it. 'Cause, like, I'm not big enough to break out of that with pure strength.
Great.
All right, you're not gonna try to get to the ropes or anything. Okay.
Well, it's more that you have the mass supplement. Like, I don't have enough muscle mass to pull from you.
Okay. So I keep the hold on for a little bit, and I try to leverage myself on the ropes.
We just go for the.
All right, how do you respond to that, Jared?
I will try and break out of the hole, but he tries the tension between holding me and getting the rope.
So you struggle against the hold?
Yeah, but now that he's riding the tension and he's riding his arms, now's my chance to break free.
Okay, so is he gonna roll for that, or does he just get out? Like, what's the deal here?
So if you're trying to take the lead here, because right now control is with.
Oh, okay. The leverage against the ropes was intended as a move to cede control to give him a spot here.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm trying to keep I'm trying to keep the action moving.
Yep.
All right. So
go ahead and roll a body here.
Who, me?
Yeah, Miqua, roll body. If you're seeing control, that's roll.
All right. Just. You got a 10.
Okay, great. Gain of momentum. So you get out, you make it look real smooth, look really athletic. Go ahead and gain a momentum and retain control of that.
Okay. Now we start with the zoomies, and I'm just going to just keep running, shoulder tackling him from every direction of the ring until he is either down or he catches me.
Okay, so I'll kind of use my size for the first couple of them and say, nope, that won't do. Next one, nope, that still won't quite do. Next one, I'm down to a knee, and the next one, you get me down.
Awesome. then I'll go for an ankle lock at this point.
Go ahead and roll work for me.
All right. Nope, 6 on E5. Hard to see in the mask. There we go. That's a 7.
There is a 7. All right, so your move works. You guys sell it well. Your timing is good. The crowd's into the match. So, Jared, at this point, you can once again seek control and gain a momentum or keep control.
I'm gonna keep control. I'm just gonna keep applying pressure on that lock because while I know I can't out muscle pure garbage, I cannot maneuver him.
Okay, so what am I locked in right now?
An ankle lock.
An ankle lock. Okay.
Yep.
I think I'm going to try and crawl towards the ropes. I'm going to try and get a rope break out of this.
I'm going to get halfway through and let go because I know that I can't hold you there if you're going to throw all your body mass into that.
All right, so I kind of. Are you ceding momentum or?
Yep, I'm ceding momentum at that point.
Okay, so in that case, I'm going to sit up and kind of look at you. I realize that you kind of realize that I outpower you, and you might be looking for something crazy here. So I get up, and I think I just go for a diving lariat.
All right, go ahead and roll a body for me.
All right. That's a 6. Plus 1, so 7.
Okay, great.
That.
So yeah, the move hits.
I go thud as you just crash down on top of me.
I kind of take a good look at my work, and I'm like, oh, I can knock the shit out of this guy. So I pick him up, and I back up a few paces. I spin around. I hit my finisher, the dump, which is a rolling lariat.
Great. Go ahead and roll a finishing move for me. Oh yeah, that hits. So you hit that move clean. You dump Miqua. Get the easy victory. 1, 2, 3. Now you get to choose. Do you get an audience, or does Miqua?
I think I'm taking the audience here.
Okay. Go ahead and take the audience. They're gonna roll Miqua's body out of there, clearly crushed. The referee's holding your hand up. The camera fades to black before picking up in an unfamiliar location here. All right, we are backstage in an office, and it looks lavish. As you can tell, it's really expensive, all kinds of really cool stuff around, all kinds of knickknacks, heirlooms, and Randy Whitman's sitting there. Clearly, the show has ended, so he's kind of just taking notes on everything that happened tonight. Maybe looks like he's running something down for the next show, and then the camera cuts out back, and all we see is a motorcycle pull up. You see like the bottom half of the motorcycle. You see both wheels. You see a black boot with like chaps. As the bike comes to a stop, the boot kicks down the kickstand for the bike. The person dismounts the bike. Again, we're only bottom half here. You can't see the face. He bursts through the back door of the bar, finds a door to his right, bursts through that door. He's in Randy Whitman's office, and all we can see is him from behind. And you can see he's a big, muscular guy wearing a leather jacket, or a leather vest, I'm sorry. Got his chaps and his jeans on, and his boots with spurs. And he says, and you hear him say, "Whitman, I told you I wanted you on this fighting league." And then I heard tonight was the showcase, and I wasn't invited. In fact, you never even called me. And Randy Whitman looks, you can see him over the camera's kind of over the shoulder of the guy. You see Randy look up at him. Randy put his gun down. And Randy goes, "You know you don't carry a cell phone." And the mysterious man says, "That's no excuse. You've always been able to get a hold of me when you needed to. And now you've left me in the dark." And Randy replies, calm as can be, Randy says, "Now, I'm not so sure you're up for this. You're a bad man, but I think these men are badder." And the voice says calmly, "I'm going to prove you wrong." And we cut to credits. So that's first episode of Dark Web Wrestling. So thank you everyone for watching. Let us know both in the comments here. Let us know in the Discord things you want to know about kind of how the system works. We'll do a good job of describing that as we go forward. I saw Dylan answering some questions in the chat. But that's our first episode. We plan on doing one episode a month through the next several months, leading to kind of a season, and then going from there. So once again, thank you all. Thank you, Dylan. Thank you, Curtis. Thank you, Jared. Our wrestlers who went, what did you guys go, 2-1 tonight? Is that right? So pretty good start. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the story. I know I did. And already Dylan's booking himself in a match that I haven't booked, so we're already letting chaos reign supreme. But until next time, thank you everyone, and watch more wrestling.